You know what they say, don't tug on Superman's cape. Kyle Busch gets the 100th win for KBM, and I'd personally say that was a pretty fun race. Had a bit of anything you could want from a NASCAR race, a Truck Series race at Pocono. But by the way, welcome everybody in right now. I'm going to say, man, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun to watch. And we're going to go over all of it. Really quick, I want to let you know also that as soon as it gets put up, we'll give you guys what the playoff cut line's looking like. I believe there's one race to go for the Truck Series. I'm looking at it right now. I can't find it as we're going, but once it's up, if you guys want to let me know. But let's look at the 2023 CRC Brackling 150. Going on NASCAR.com here. This race was 60 laps, not including the red flag. It went for an hour and 23 minutes. There was a 13-minute red flag, but still that would mean this race was an hour 36 minutes total if you include the red. There were 5 lead changes among 4 leaders with 5 cautions on the day. Let's get to the finishing order of this race. I got to say, I had a lot of fun watching that one. Now, these results are from NASCAR.com as well. Might be a little bit, what do you call it? Might be a little unofficial, but is what it is. Also, I see Blue Jimmy saying Heim is just mad he choked. I mean, Heim choked, yes, but Kyle Busch was there. He didn't move him. I didn't think Kyle did. I think he got close, but if Heim's going to be moving up through the ranks, that's the kind of racing he's going to have to get used to. Close racing like that. I gotta say, this makes me really excited because usually I think the Xfinity series out of the 3 is the best. So if Trucks was this fun today, which again, still very momentum-based racing, I think that we're going to have a lot of fun with it. But looking at the results, Kyle Busch, again, gets the 100th win for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Corey Heim in 2nd, then Taylor Gray, Christopher Bell, and Enfinger in 5th. 6th was Majeski, 9th, Eckes. Then after that is 8th place Dean Thompson, Rhodes in 9th, then 10th, Matty D. Carson Hocevar, after causing a really big crash and being around, comes home 11th. Then Tyler Ankrum in 12th. Then you got Haley Deegan finishing 13th. For Deegan's bar, pretty good race for her. Matt Crafton stays out of trouble, 14th place finish. Just kind of, having a bit of a mid-off into the playoffs as we're running right now. I believe he'd be in as we run. Colby Howard in the 15th spot. Raja Karuth in 16th. 17th, Daniel Dye. Then you got Chase Purdy in 18th. 19th, Nick Sanchez. Hayden Honeycutt in 20th. Beast of Metal, 1989. Thanks for the 10. It was fun until Rowdy utterly blew Heim's doors off. It's not even like Heim did anything wrong. Busch just did the right thing better. That's why Cup regulars should be banned from Truck and Xfinity. Well, that is why we have the cap on them. I will say I get people being upset by it because Kyle Busch constantly winning in this series probably rightfully so pisses a lot of people off. But if Heim is going to move up through the ranks, he's got to learn how to hold that off. I know that Trucks doesn't really one-to-one add up to what Xfinity and Cup will, but still, I think it's a good learning experience for him, whether he thinks he got moved or not. It also is a fair way of racing him. But I understand. Looking at the rest of the finishing order, let's see it now. Tyler Hill comes home in 21st. 22nd, Parker Kligerman. Corey Roper, 23rd. Is it Stephen Malozzi? 24th. 25th, Spencer Boyd. Brayum in 26th, though they didn't have him on the ticker. I found that kind of weird. After that, we have Lawless Allen, 27th. 28th, Stephen Parsons. Brett Holmes, 29th, and that is the final driver that finished this race. These last few drivers, the last 7 drivers, were out of the race. Ross Chastain in 30th, out. Kaz Gralla in 31st, out. Stuart Friesen in 32nd, out. Austin Hill, 33rd. Zane Smith, 34th. Jake Garcia, 35th. And Tanner Gray, who brought out the first caution of the day, finishes last, 36th position. those are, the finishing order, the results of this race. Looking at the chat here, Timber Ace says Heim left the door open. I'd say that's about it. Heim did leave the door open. And I'm kind of with you on this, Blue Jimmy. Drivers do need to develop a bit, but at the same time, it is pretty. I get there should definitely be these limits on Cup drivers, and I think NASCAR's hit that happy medium. I mean, a lot of these young drivers say they want the Cup guys in the lower series, so I can't necessarily go too much against them. I think NASCAR's hit it right, personally. But the results will be up at the top. Same with the post-race streams today. Be sure to subscribe if you're new. Click that like button. Let's get to at least 100 likes on this stream. By the way, for those who watch the NASCAR Weekly podcast, everybody but Eric picked Kyle Busch. He picked Corey Heim. So, good there. Let's see. I'm sorry for you, James, that you weren't able to tune in. I thought it was a pretty good Pocono race. I thought the racing was pretty good. You could definitely tell the way it was being spread out and the way that cautions weren't happening. It'd be more of a strategic race. The one-stop strategy really worked for the way the cautions flew, and you saw it with the top two guys. But let's go over this really quick. So starting in stage 1, you have Nick Sanchez starting on the pole, winning his 4th pole of the season. But the big issue in the first stage was with Tanner Gray, who would crash into the inside wall, bringing out the first caution of the day. And it was a hard crash. He tried driving away from it, but that wasn't going to happen. He had a busted radiator. Hood was flying up. It was completely over for him very early on. So must win for him, I believe, heading into Richmond. Yes, Richmond. They have the restart on lap 8. Zane Smith goes to the lead. He wins the stage over Sanchez, Matty D, Kyle Busch, and Austin Hill. And then Garcia, Heim, Enfinger, Friesen, and Taylor Gray in the top 10 in stage 1. 2 cautions so far on the day. Would not be the end of it by a long shot. On lap 20, they have the restart. Heim would pass Kyle Busch for the lead, with Busch getting it back. But both of them pit with 28 to go. The big turning point, I think, for the race, and what set up this finish, was these pit stops, because Kyle Busch ends up falling behind Heim, who for most of the rest of the race keeps him behind him. But the stage will end, stage 2, caution 3 on this one, with Zane Smith winning again over Friesen, then Sanchez, Matty D, Enfinger, Rhodes, Ankrum, Carruth, Howard, and Matt Crafton getting a stage point. And this would enter us into the final stage. But before we do that, I'm going to put a poll up because I want to see what you guys think. Should there be an outright ban on Cup regulars in the lower division or series? How about that? Yes, no, I like it where it is now. If I can spell where right. So yes, there should be. No, there shouldn't be. I like it where it is now. Or Cup guys in every race. I want to see where you guys think on this one. So should there be an outright ban on Cup regulars in the lower series? You guys got 4 options here. No meme option on this one. I want to see what you all think. Again, if you're new, we do have post-race streams all weekend after Xfinity and after Cup, so be sure to check out those. Subscribe because we'll have a ton of fun with it. But let's look at the final stage. Again, the highlights were not very big when it came to this race, but there was a lot of passing, a lot of strategic play, a lot of runs. Runs were very big on this one. So there was a lot. And Groovy Goose, thank you for the 2. Appreciate the post-race streams. Thank you. I appreciate you guys appreciating it. It's a ton of fun to do with you guys. I love the discourse. It's really fun, and I like talking about it because usually I'd watch these lower tier series races, especially be like, "Oh, that was fun. All right, I'm gonna go sit on my couch and watch an old race from 2005." Now I can talk to people about it. So I do have to run the score between the races, but That's no biggie. When it comes to the final stage, you have the restart on lap 35 with what would be 25 to go. Heim gets out ahead of Kyle Busch. Good restart. Good push on the restart. With 22 to go, though, Kyle Busch is pushing to pass him. Heim holds him off. And they just continue to battle back and forth. Kyle can't make the move. He can get beside him, but whether it's the air or the momentum, Heim is able to hold him off just enough. But I think in that time, Kyle Busch was making his notes in his head about his move. He knew what he wanted to do for that move, I believe, well before he made it. But with 15 to go, you have Nick Sanchez and Jake Garcia causing a caution, fourth caution of the day. Garcia just straight up is wrecked out of the race. Sanchez, if I'm not mistaken, continues to go with no damage, though he did only finish 19th on the day, so definitely affected it. But with a restart, 9 to go, Heim gets out in front, but that's not the big headliner on it. The big headliner is, I believe, Hocevar went 3 wide, if I'm not mistaken. He goes down to the bottom, might have been 2 wide, but goes down to the bottom, pushes up, causes a big wreck. 42 goes around. I believe it was a 9-truck wreck, bringing out caution 5, the last caution of the day. There was the 42, the 38, the 1, 52, 7, 75, 02, 41, and 45 all involved. There might have been more, but from what it looked like, it was a 9-truck wreck, which, do a little math on, I can't do it on the fly here. Or he didn't spin, whatever. He caused the wreck, though. But that would be a quarter of the truck field involved in that caution. And from there, you have 5 to go with the restart. Heim gets out in front again. Busch manages to keep it in second. Just dogs him lap after lap after lap after lap. Might have been too many laps I listed off there, but keeps dogging him. Finally, getting into the tunnel turn, which throughout the day was the fastest place for that truck. Manages to get by him. I say in a pretty clean move, personally. Yes, it got close, got a little dicey, but it wasn't that bad. But makes the move, gets past him, and gets the 100th win for KBM. I get Heim being upset and being disappointed, but it is what it is. You got to learn against these older guys. They're only in a couple races a year, but when they're up there, I mean, Heim beat him at Martinsville. He kept him behind him pretty much the entire night at Martinsville during that rain race. So I'd say it's pretty even. One thing that I will say about Kyle Busch, though, is I believe personally, since joining RCR and going to Chevy with his team, I think this is the first time Kyle Busch in his career, since becoming full-time, has not had one of, if not the best car truck out there. Because if you think about it, he ran for Hendrick Motorsports early in his career, and then JGR and JGR powered cars. So for him to get the win, I think is a lot of maturity, because I don't think he had the better truck than Heim. I think Heim had the better truck on the day. But I think it shows, the maturity that an old veteran like him will have. But I think it also shows, I think, just the difference of experience. Heim, I think, with another 10 to 15 years of experience, will be able to pull off the same thing in a lesser truck the way Kyle Busch did. But for his credit, I think Heim ran a hell of a race. It's just hard to beat one of the best drivers in NASCAR history. You can debate it all you want. You can say all you want, but Kyle Busch is one of the 10 best drivers, I think, in NASCAR history. And he held him off for over half that race, which I thought was really damn impressive, no matter the caliber of truck. But look at the poll right here. I'm going to end it and see where we're at with this. So I asked you, should there be an outright ban on Cup regulars in lower series? 51% of you say you like where it is now, where they're only allowed in 5 lower series races a year. 30% of you said no, there shouldn't be, whether it's back and forth, either way. 12% of you think there should be the outright ban, and 5% of you think they should be in every single race. Hey, Switch, just because I said that I think they're top 10 does not mean they will be top 10. I got a guy this week, I believe, in the top 15 that was ranked outside the top. So, not a spoiler. Just maybe a spoiler to what I think, but not a spoiler. But now we have the Xfinity race coming up. This is the race I think is going to be the most fun of the weekend. I know Cup has gotten better at Pocono, Last couple years has been a lot of fun at Pocono, but I think that this coming race is going to be last to watch. I think that you're going to have the draft be a big factor in short term and short runs. I think you're going to have a lot of comers and goers. I think that you're also going to have, I think you're going to have a lot of contenders up there. I mean, one thing you got to remember is Chase Elliott will be racing in this race. This might be the first win of the year for Chase Elliott in total, which maybe is something he needs. We've seen it before where drivers will get a win in Xfinity or run Xfinity to get more data on the Cup cars or what the Cup cars may have, and it ends up helping them. So I think that's going to be an interesting story to watch. I think watching the Xfinity regulars and what the playoff picture is looking like is going to be a lot of fun to watch. So I think that this, like I said, I think this personally will be my favorite race of the weekend. But I at the same time, I can't guarantee that because the Cup race has been a lot of fun too. I look in here. I don't see any updates on the truck playoffs. If NASCAR.com has them, I'll read them off for you, though. So let's see if they do. Let's go with the Truck Series. Truck points. Let's see if they got them. Full standings here. What was this? Was this the 15th race of the year or the 14th? That's really all I need to know. And then I can read them off. I know that it's amazing to me that Heim for sure is the points leader, but has had less starts than everybody else and is kicking their ass on a regular basis. That is impressive to me. Again, I think that he is that driver, I think, who is ready for that next step. So this was the 15th race. So they've not updated the point standings at all, which is a shame because I would have really loved if they did. It looks like they have been on Racing Reference. So let's see if I can read them off for you. I got to get back on NASCAR.com, make sure I got all. I don't have this scheduled or memorized the same way I have the Cup Series and in some ways the Xfinity Series too. So bear with me on that. But full standings here. All right. I think I got it here. So Majeski is safe. He's completely in. So it's 3 spots, I think, up for grabs with, what is it? 1 race left. And the top 10 make the playoffs. So here's what we got. Matt DiBenedetto is in 8th in the standings, up. Is that 31 points? Yes. Sanchez is up by 21 points in 9th in the standings. Matt Crafton, 9 points to the good. Final spot in over Stuart Friesen, who is in 11th. And from there, Tanner Gray would be 47 out. So basically, Friesen, Crafton, Sanchez, and DiBenedetto are running for the playoff spots on points. Gray on down. Everyone else needs a win to get in. That's at least what it's looking like from what Racing Reference has as we run right now. So it's going to tighten up. It's going to be a lot of fun. Last truck race of the regular season will be, next week at Richmond, Saturday night, similar to the way the Cup Series used to be. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Thoughts on NASCAR racing at Cedar Point, Kings Island, or Hershey Park? I'd have to look in a little more, but I'm open to anything. I don't know every single racetrack, so I apologize if I'm not, in the biggest. I don't have the biggest knowledge base of all racetracks and stuff, but I'm open to anything at this point. Looking at the rest of what you guys got. Like the stream. We're 26 away from getting to 100, almost 200 of y'all watching, which is amazing for a truck race. I appreciate it. And like I said, Xfinity is going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be a ton of fun. They're not at Milwaukee Mile. No, Milwaukee Mile is the Sunday after the Daytona Cup race that ends the Cup regular season. I don't know necessarily if I agree with that kind of scheduling, just because if Daytona gets rained out, the truck race is going to go head-to-head probably with Cup. But that is the way it's scheduled right now. Any other questions before we end this off? Again, I'll be back later today for the Xfinity race, so we got plenty to look at there. But I had a ton of fun, man. I had a ton of fun, and I really, really hope that the Xfinity race outshines this one, because this was a hell of a race. We got Iowa for IndyCar this weekend. Iowa's been making some big upgrades. I got a few people sending me pictures from Iowa and the stuff they're putting in. And that track, in a lot of ways, looks like the future of kind of entertaining people at racetracks. Honestly, I hope that NASCAR runs there at some point. I know it's in close vicinity to Kansas. Put it halfway between them in the season. You know, Kansas in May. September is the playoff Kansas race. So put it in July, similar to IndyCar. Maybe have it the same weekend, doubleheader or something, or maybe have it like 2 weeks later or a week later or whatever. There was an unconfirmed fight apparently for trucks. There's been so many times where they just don't cover it, and so we don't know if there's a fight. And sometimes fights are just little scuffles. I'm looking around, but I don't see anything really fight-wise on my timeline. And I follow just about everyone that updates that stuff. But yeah, I think that about covers it. Thank you guys for watching. It was a ton of fun. You guys have a wonderful afternoon, and I'll see you guys after the Xfinity race. So, till then, later.